And then one thing he talks about is like motivation. Motivation is amazing, but you got to find the right thing. And something he talks about that I've never realized, but is very true, and I see it even with myself at my own work, that I don't have at the moment is motivation. I'm trying to figure that out. I'll get through it, but we all got our shit. And he talks about the Goldilocks rule. And there's actually a study that it's you want something to be 4% difficult, more difficult than what you know or how to do, is you want the Goldilocks rule between something that's easy or too hard. You can't have something either way. If you have something right in the middle, it's going to be perfect and it's going to keep you motivated and keep striving. It's kind of like in sports. If you're playing tennis with a child, you're going to get bored super easily because there's no challenge. But if you play with a professional, you're also going to get bored or just give up because you realize there's no chance of you winning. And it's because the skill levels is just so different to who you're up against. But if you have someone that's in a similar skill level to you, you're super motivated and you're not going to give up because it's going to go back and forth when it comes to points. You might win a few, they might win a few, and it's going to make you more motivated because it gives you that realization that you can win, but to do so, you got to put in your effort and you got to focus. If you don't have that focus, you're not going to do as well. So you got to kind of find your own Goldilocks rule depending on what it is you're working on and what it is to kind of make it just slightly difficult enough to keep you going. And one of the other things he talks about is mastering one habit. That's good and that's great, but mastering skills is, I feel like, more important because you can build off of them. Mastering one habit is good, but then you need to take that habit and put it into something else just to kind of keep going. It's kind of like the goal setting situation is you got to kind of keep progressing it in some way or another. So it's quite amazing. There's so many ways I'm trying to use this on my own, and like one of the things he says, even with and part of this I guess has to do with fitness, but one of the ways he talks about is like the human mind and the way it's constructed has not changed within 50 or more thousand years. It is the exact same as our ancestors, but they never had to deal with the temptations that we have today when it comes to technology and, let's say, unhealthy foods and this and that. Like, he talked about how companies actually use the most stone aged part of the brain to keep you more likely to eat unhealthy foods. And like one of the things he talks about is like contrast and consistency is, and I realized when they said that it's like I felt that same way, is like there's a reason an Oreo has two crunchy soft cookies on the outside but a cream filling on the inside. It's because that change of consistency keeps your brain more occupied and more enjoyable, so you'll eat more and more cookies. Where if you just ate, let's say, kale or broccoli or chicken, it's the same texture over and over again. So you're going to be less likely to eat as much as that because your brain will get bored than you will from eating a cookie because there's not a change in consistency. So it's not your fault to be stuck in the ways you are now. It's not your fault that you have a habit to go towards your phone and be on social media and to want junk food. These companies have, in the modern world, has designed this to kind of go on your most deep instinct levels in your brain to kind of contractually get you into these bad habits because it makes them money. It's not good for you, but they don't care because they're trying to be a profitable company and they want to make sales. So you got to realize that some of these things aren't your fault. This is just stuff we have to deal with when it comes to living in modern society that our ancestors never had to deal with. And like one of the things with junk food is our brain was wired to crave and want sugar, fatty, and fat and carbs. Why do you think junk foods are basically made out of sugar, fat, and carbs? Because it's the thing our brain craves. Because back in the day when we didn't have enough food, getting something like that was a luxury. So we craved that. Because if we could find that, that possibly could mean the difference between living and or starving. Where now there's a surplus of food, but we still have that same biological inkling to still want those type of foods. So there's things you got to learn to just kind of develop and change how you look at situations, and how you got to realize it's not your fault that you've fallen into these habits necessarily. Some of the stuff are things that probably started when you were a kid that you had no clue you would still be doing now as an adult. So it's something you got to identify and decide if it's something you need to keep because it's positive or change because it's negative. It's all about making those little changes every day and sticking to those to make a large difference years from now. It doesn't matter if you use that in business, your personal life. Doesn't matter what it is. You could do that with work, fitness, exercise, cleaning, like companies. It doesn't matter. You can do anything like this, and it will have a major impact. It's all about making those little changes now that will have large results years from now.